So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. Today is one of our final classes for our webinar series about tarot. And today we are discussing tarot and relationships. I think as a tarot reader, and some of you know me, some of you don't, but I've been reading tarot since I was 11, and I've done it professionally for the past 5 years, a little more. But not that much, I would say, professionally. But I like reading for my friends, my family. I'm sort of like the psychic for the family every time I go back to Argentina. But I love this divination tool, and it's been one of my passions. But one of the questions that I most get is about relationships. I think there's the three big questions that most of my clients come and ask, and most of the time it has to do with work or career. Okay, they're asking questions about like what to do, whether they should change jobs, things like that. The next one is love or relationships, so that is another one. And the last one is usually health, or some sort of like message for them. But definitely love, relationships, health, work are usually the most common topics. So that's why I decided to just create one session that would deal with tarot and relationships. And this is important because, at least in my book, we may get a lot of people coming and asking questions about another person's feelings or another person's situation in the relationship, right? So those are tricky questions because, like I said, in my book, I try not to read what another person who is not in the room it's feeling or thinking, or how are they acting, because it's really like I like the person to give some consent on what I'm reading, and I feel like we are tapping into some of the privacy, right? So most of the times when I'm doing readings for clients, when it's about love or relationships, I'm just phrasing the question in a way of like, how is this situation helping my client? How is this situation impacting my client? What is the situation teaching this person? Or what is the lesson for my client? Not so much for the other person. The other person is more like the person that activates the lesson for the client. But I really focus on the client that I have in front of me instead of like just focusing on the person that's not in the room. And I feel like that is one of the things that we have to have clarity on when we are doing readings for other people. If you're doing readings for yourself and you want to know how this person is feeling, or even it doesn't have to be a love relationship, it could be a friendship. Like you may be feeling like something is going on with your best friend, or something, something is in the air. We don't know how all of a sudden they are acting up, and you don't know if it's something you did or not. So in those cases, I would do a reading for myself to see what's happening and to clear the air in like, is this something that I did? Is this something that I triggered? Or it's just, maybe the person is going through their own stuff, or they are having issues with their family, or they are having issues with something else, or their work. We don't know, but we can see a little bit about what the other person's reaction, whether it's something that we caused or not. But that's part of, like, I would say, the ethics of relationship reading. Like most of the time, when we look at relationships, we really focus on the other person. And I feel like that's for the detriment of the reader, because we are giving our power away if we are just focusing on the other person. Honestly, it's just more about like, what is it not being met? What is it not happening in me? Or what am I feeling? What is this person triggering? And whether it's something that I need to learn, or maybe it's a person that's not healthy for us. But again, it's getting back to that core central persona that we are, and focus on reading more into like client or ourselves instead of the other, because I think that we get a lot more information when we focus the reading that way. Also, we can be with relationships, we could be having situations where we've been having a relationship for many years and something is shifting, and at that point we can see a little bit of like what's going on with us and what's going on with the other person. And you will see that in my reading, in the example that I chose for tonight. We are going to be covering how the other person feels and how we feel, and what is the central topic in the relationship. So we can get some idea of the other person, but like I said, relationships are made out of two, but when it comes to readings, unless the two people are in the room with you, I think that you have to focus on the party that you have and see whether the relationship is healthy or not, or brings challenges or not, or brings more opportunities or not for your client or for the person you're reading. And I know that some of you may not even do things professionally, but it also goes to say about readings for friends or readings for family, because doing readings gives you a lot of power. When you are casting a message, or you are giving a message to someone, that message, depending on how this person takes it, can modify many things in the person. So we have to be mindful on those situations and those ethics when we are reading, when it comes to relationships, I would say, because you don't want to say, oh my God, or he's cheating on you, or we can get into so many things when we're reading, or really like focusing on the other person is just too hard, honestly. So hopefully you agree with me on that, and if not, that's okay. We each do our own readings, but it is my experience that I try to bring my clients or my family member or my friend to a place where I empower them, and I put them in the center, so they have the ability to rule their world, their life, and their relationships, and decide whether this is good or bad for them, but not trying to change the other, or not trying to modify, or not trying to put all the power in the other person. So having said that, we are going to be talking about this 7-card spread that does talk about relationship. When we look at it, it may look funky, but it's 7 cards. So when you would shuffle, you will pick 7 cards, and this is the way that you would put them. I know that this picture has a different way of how I explain it, because for me, the rational is more like the mind, and the emotional is more like the heart. Okay, and in there we have how the person thinks, or the mind, or the ego, and how the person feels, emotions, and heart. And then we have the projected self, which would be a little bit of like how the other person see you. Like, and many times, it's my experience that sometimes people see us in a very different way than what we see ourselves. So many times this position, when we look at the cards, it will give us some information like, oh my God, he sees me that way, or she sees me that way. And it's interesting. Or if you are beginning a relationship and you are doing this, spread because you just went on a couple of dates and you want to see what's happening, and how's he feeling, and how's he thinking, and how's he seeing you or she, definitely you can do this. And in here, you may see the projected self, or how the other person see you. It's like the mask, okay, how they are portraying themselves. And sometimes this mask, depending on how long the relationship has been going on, it may be real, or it may be like how we sugarcoat ourselves, or like, I don't know, let's put it in a simple way. When you're going out, you're makeuping, you're getting all pretty. When you're married after a couple of years, sometimes you are, again, with, you know, your curling iron and you don't care that much. So definitely that projected self could change depending on also how long the relationship has been going, how much you know each other. And most of the times, this is maybe the face or the role that we put for external people too. So if you know a little bit about astrology, I would say that the rational side would be more of like the sun energy, you know, in the zodiac. The emotional would be the moon. And then the projected self would be the ascendant, would be that mask that we wear when we are introducing each other. But when they get to know us a little better and a little deeper, they can see our sun or they can see our moon energy more than, you know, the ascendant. So you can put it that way as well. And the significator is a weird word. For me, it's more like, what is the message of the relationship as it is now? Maybe it's great if you have the lovers in that position, it's amazing. If you have, let's say, the Six of Cups, also very good, very beginning, very initial stages. If you have the Five of Wands, you may be fighting a little bit there. So that will tell you a little bit of like the tone of the relationship as it is right now. And, you know, usually these cards are good for a couple of months, but it's not like a long projection of how everything is going to be. Like, you may be taking a training, or you may be like meeting someone and you start changing the way you think, or you may be feeling more like comfortable or safe, and so your emotional side may open up a little more. So depending, I would say I would do this reading for like maybe 2 to 3 months max, more for the significator and what's going on with the people. So far, are there any questions? And I'm going to unmute you. Do you have any questions? No? Okay.
The significator is the one that sets the tone for that relationship at the time.
Yes, the significator is what shows what's going on.
Okay.
Sort of like, because I feel like relationship is the adding of the two people, right? So there is how she thinks, there's how he thinks, there is how she feels, there's how he feels, there's how she sees him, and there's how he sees her. But then you have like, how do they see, you know, that relationship that becomes that third person in a way, and that's the significator.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Good, so now we are going to get into an example. Sorry, it's a little dark. I was trying to take the picture today. To get this ready, I've been running around these days. So here is how you see, and this is the Rider-Waite, the traditional one, like I said before. And we have here as a significator, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune first is a major arcana card. So every time we see a major arcana card in a reading, it implies that there's some kind of karmic connection. There's like a life lesson. And in this way, because we are talking about relationship, this relationship is a life lesson for the person. Here, because it's Wheel of Fortune, I feel like I would say they are destined to be together. There is the element of luck and synchronicity that's working on there as well. So definitely as significator, it seems to be something that is pretty good. I would say, if I have to guess, and honestly, I took these cards without any intention. I was just putting them for an example. So it's not that I've been doing a reading on them. But if I had to think, I would feel like this person met the partner or met the other person a couple of months ago, but it hasn't been too long. So they are still in that place of like knowing each other. And I will say that because of the other cards around it, but definitely when they met each other, they felt like they met, like that it was destiny, that they were destined to be together. And that's what the Wheel of Fortune brings. It's like that element of like, whoa, I'm at the right place at the right time and things are going great and I'm lucky and I'm happy and everything is working in my favor in a way. When we go to the top part, again, it has to do with the mind, right? The rationale, like we see in the previous one, but I would say mind, how the person is thinking. How is the monkey, okay? Because I feel like the mind is a monkey that sometimes jumps around and doesn't help us that much. So depending on how we can keep the monkey with happy with the banana, it will be okay. But if not, it's just jumping and confusing us and making things complicated when we think too much. So in here we see that this person has the Queen of Cups as her mind. So she's a very loving, very like, in her mind, she's very in love with this person. She's just like full of emotion, full of feelings. Really like, I feel like in the relationship, because there is some connections, I feel like she's the one that feels like he is the one for her somehow, because her mind is just like Queen of Cups, the Queen of Love, the Queen of the Heart. So definitely here we can see her. But when we look at him, and I'm saying him, it could be she and she, he and he, she and he, whatever, right? I'm just using those pronouns just because it's an example, but it could be it's applicable to anything. So for me, he is more control when it comes to the mind. The King of Swords is a king that's very strategic, very mind focused, little bit of a poker face. So when we look at how the cards are played, we can see that he is really like thinking things seriously and feeling like, is this the one? Is not the one? And just thinking long term, more than she's in love and not thinking too much when it comes to the mind. But when we go to the heart and we go to the middle, okay, here is where we see she has the Queen of Swords and he has the King of Cups. So there's like a mismatch here in how, sorry, I've been having a lot of coughing these days. Try not to get sick with so many people at work sick. So sorry about that. So here is where we can see that when it comes to the heart, she's the one shielding. Okay, she's the one that, I don't know about this. In my mind, I want love. I'm in love. I feel really good about this relationship. But when it comes to really intimacy and opening the heart, she's careful. The Queen of Swords is a very strategic, similar to the King of Swords, but more in like a female side. And she's like very careful, very planned, not easy. So you could imagine this person being a person that has had maybe many issues with relationships and it's been burned before. So when it comes to opening the heart, it's hard for her. She doesn't open the heart very easily. Whereas in her mind, she fantasizes and she romanticizes and she can be in love. But when it gets to let's be intimate and let's open the heart, that's hard for her. For him, it's different, right? Because in the mind, he's more, but this is more like when you meet a guy and he's starting to think like, is she a person that I can get married? Is she a person that I can have children with? What is the strategy? How old are we? Depending, I would say in this case, I would look at this couple as middle age. And so he's more thinking like future, she's more in love. And when it comes to the heart, he's more open. He's more loving. He's more like, oh my God, I'm feeling like really like this person touched my heart. Okay. Instead of like being closed down. So because the person touched the heart is why he's thinking so much about like, how do we proceed? How many months do I ask? Do I get a ring? Do we milk together? And that's how these scorecards are playing around, right? Like she's more like loving, but scared of commitment maybe and scared of like opening the heart. He's more like, hey, let's plan it together. But he's like, because I love you and I want to spend time with you and I want you to be the one. And so that's where the disconnect could happen. And when we move to the final row, which is the projection, right? Or how we see each other, he sees her as really valuable. Like that page of Pentacles talks about values and talks about definitely bringing really like the wife material. Like she's worthy, she has, she looks good, all the different qualities. So she brings a lot of value for him. And with her, he brings the opportunity of love. He brings that offering because he has the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups is the romantic, is the one that's opening the heart. And I think that has to do a little bit with how the heart position is also working. Because you can see that he can show heart opening and really more loving because his heart is open. Her heart is a little closer, more shielded, so she brings value. She's a great catch. But so much for love and offering, and not so much because there's that fear of like, is this for real? Am I gonna get burned? I've been burned before, so is this another type of experience? So that's how they dance. The great thing would be for them to be able to get, for her to move her Queen of Swords to the mind and move the Queen of Cups to the heart, so they can have that alignment where they are thinking the same way, they both have a plan, they both want to grow together, get the house, get married, have the children and all that, and then the heart is open and they trust each other and they love each other and they can have that intimacy. So that's the lesson that they have here to evolve. But that's why I say, I would dare to say, if I was reading for someone, that this is a sort of like new relationship, but it's a very good new relationship with a lot of potential. And the potential has to do with that Wheel of Fortune saying, hey, we are destined to be together, but let's help you, release your fears of commitment. And him is more like, let's get this going and let's get this situated. So having said that, are there any questions, or when you see these cards, you, Janet and Nancy, that you are more familiar with tarot, does anything else come up for you? You are muted.
Yeah.
We're thinking.
Well,
okay.
I mean, I'm not sure how you switch the mind and the emotions. That would be the ideal world, but
right. Well, I think with time it could happen. I think as a relationship grows, they can reach that. But that's why I said I feel like it's a newer relationship, so that's why there's like the protection. But he may be older than her too, so he's more like structured. It's like, oh my God, I'm in my 40s or something. I need to get married. I need to have the family. So he may be more thinking that way. She may be more like still experiencing and really like falling for him, but burned from past experience.
Mm-hmm.
The pages are both at the bottom in the ascendant place, or the what is it?
Yeah, the projected, or the way we see the other.
Yeah. So and they're both youthful. So
yeah, and at least at that point they are the same. Again, they are the same vibration.
yeah.
They have, when he's a king, she's a queen. When she's a queen, he's a king. And then the pages, because it is the initial type, and that's why I would dare to say it's an initial phase of the relationship, because of that page. They are actually.
Yeah, I think they're excited and they're destined to be together. That's what I say.
Yeah, they have to get across her fears. So.
Yeah, I think we'll do it though.
Yeah, I think
enough
so.
Water there.
Yeah, and there's like, again, there's king of cups or king of hearts, and queen of cups or queen of hearts. So I feel like, they can get, as they get along and they know each other more and more, they can feel like, oh my God, yes, you are the king of my heart, or you are the queen of my heart, and get to that level. That's why I feel like it's still the very beginning. I'm here.
Maybe it's Prince Harry and his new fiancée.
The new lady, yeah, the lady.
Markle, what's her name? Her first name?
I can't remember.
It could be she's a different one, but again, interesting enough, in the royal family, both kids married people that were not so much, who they were destined to be, similar to, their dad that married Diana. So it's interesting how they perpetrate, or they continue the story of like maybe freeing royalty a little bit more, making it a little more flexible.
Yes.
So yeah, that's interesting. It could be. That'll be one example. So any questions about what I said, or, the reading? Like, I'll move it to the final page, which is, again, always like my two best books that I always recommend, The Tarot for Yourself. And this is a book, Kate, that we are using in the in-person class. So we are using this book, but we also add different things. And then the other one is Learning Tarot by Joan Buning, which is very good too. Like, those two are very good beginners books. And it's not November, okay? I'm in the past. And I'm planning to have one in February. It's not like I'm taking from now till November to get back. But that was supposed to happen last year, and it did not happen. But it will be in February. And our next class, like I was saying, is Create Your Own Spread. And definitely there we will talk a little bit about how you go about creating a spread and how you can use it, and maybe create spreads for different things that you find that you usually go to the cards, or you go to the oracle for questions. Let's say, you have a spread for career, or you have a spread for purpose in life, or you have a spread for health, or you can create, and then it becomes your toolbox. So then you have a spread for each thing. So when you have a question, or when someone in your family or someone comes to you for a reading, you know which spread to use depending on the question they have as well, and the time you have. So that's another thing that we will cover. So again, it's not November, it's going to be February.
Okay, February.
Sorry about that. That's what happens when you do things fast, very procrastinating, and last minute, it happens that way. So yeah. But any other questions or anything else that you have questions about?
Is there a class on February 13th, the last of the series? Are you still having that?
Yes, and that's for the in-person class. Yes,
Yeah.
there is one on actually there is one in February, and there's one in March because we canceled one.
Oh, that's right.
So we move it. So
Okay.
even though it says final, it's not really the final. But I just moved the class to March, and that was supposed to be our final.
Okay.
But yeah, we will be
So
having those.
Your new dog will be here. Toto.
Yes, Toto is gonna be here. It'll be fun to see how we deal with the classes in person and things in person with the two dogs now.
Yeah.
But hey, she behaved very well today. Okay, so she has not barked at all. So I'm very proud. She's gonna get a treat after, and nobody knocked at the door. So it's been a good seminar so far. Good. So, like I always say, if anything comes up or if you have any questions, just email me. You have my information in the meetup. If not, you can find me at www.caroamor.com, which is my website, or in Facebook or in Instagram. Definitely, I'll be sending the copy of the video if you want to watch it again, or if you want to take notes or see again the spread. To all the meetups, so everyone will get the copy. And for UK, in there you will see the link for the YouTube, so you can go and see the other videos from the previous classes if you want to expand your knowledge a little more. I feel like this class may have been a little advanced, but definitely you can catch up and you get a feel of how it is to work with Huron. Good. So
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It was great having you, and I think that's gonna be it if there's no any other questions. No more questions?
Nope, that's good. Thank you, Carolina.
Good. Thank you. Have a good night, and I hope to see you, Janet, soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Kate.
Bye, Kate.
Bye.
Bye.